Well, it's not often that the Canadian government finds itself tangled up in a U.S. presidential campaign. But when a report last week suggested Barack Obama's campaign called Canadian officials to tell them not to take their candidate's anti-NAFTA rhetoric seriously, it caused a stir and a series of denials on both sides of the border. That report turned out not to be entirely accurate, but as Neil MacDonald reports, that hasn't stopped it from having a major impact.
On the eve of a crucial vote, Barack Obama has a Canadian problem, and it won't go away.
Nobody reached out to the Canadians to try to reassure them of anything. And so there's nothing more there.
In fact, it's a lot more than nothing. What began as a political leak has now escalated into a nasty fight between the government of Canada and a man who may be the next president of the United States. The Canadian embassy here is mortified. The Obama campaign is enraged, and Ottawa is now trying to repair the damage. To some Democrats, the Canadian government is now an enemy.
You've got a right-wing government in Canada that is trying to help the Republicans and is out there actively interfering in this campaign.
It all began in Ohio last week, where NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, is deeply unpopular.
We will opt out of NAFTA unless we renegotiate it.
I think actually Senator Clinton's answer on this one is right. I think we should use the hammer of a potential opt-out as leverage.
In official Ottawa, though, some people thought they detected hypocrisy in those remarks. It turns out that a few weeks earlier, Canadian diplomats in Chicago had pleaded for a meeting with this man, Austin Goolsbee, an advisor to Barack Obama. Later, the Canadian diplomats told Ottawa there was no need to worry about NAFTA. Goolsbee, they reported, had said that any anti-NAFTA campaign messages should be viewed as more about political positioning than a clear articulation of policy plans. After the Ohio debate, though, sources suggest someone in Stephen Harper's government decided to leak their own version of Obama's views.
In that call, the Obama operative warned the ambassador.
Within hours, CTV News was reporting Obama's people had phoned the Canadian government, not the other way around. The report also said, incorrectly, that an Obama operative had directly warned Michael Wilson, the Canadian ambassador in Washington, telling him not to take Obama's NAFTA rhetoric seriously. Effectively, the story suggested Obama was lying to the Ohio voters. Obama's rivals pounced, and they've been pouncing ever since.
I don't think it's appropriate to go to Ohio and tell people one thing while your aide is calling the Canadian ambassador and telling him something else.
I don't think people should come to Ohio and tell the people of Ohio one thing and then have your campaign tell a foreign government something else behind closed doors.
Meanwhile, the Canadian embassy reviewed the diplomatic cable, acknowledged it may have misrepresented the Obama advisor, apologized to Obama, and issued a blanket denial, but too late. Today, a senior Obama campaign official told CBC the diplomatic cable did indeed present a false picture of the Obama advisor's views, and the official predicted the political leak will damage relations with an Obama White House. Why is Canada meddling in the internal affairs of the United States, asked the official. To provide such a false account at this juncture on the eve of a crucial election is not an accident, and it is really, really stupid. Privately, some Canadian officials agree with that. This afternoon in Ottawa, the Foreign Affairs Ministry issued a new statement, this one saying that none of their diplomats ever meant to suggest in any way that Barack Obama says one thing in public and something else in private. Stephen Harper, meanwhile, said he's confident Canada will be able to work with whomever wins the election here this fall. Neil MacDonald, CBC News, Washington.